Spin-offs are great, aren't they? When games suddenly put a big fat colon followed by a subtitle into their names and suddenly everything changes. Shooters become strategy games become shooters, shooters become slightly different types of shooters. Oh man, there's just so many possibilities. Anyway, to celebrate the launch of Fallout 76 this week, a game that weirdly came out on a Thursday, we've picked 6 video games that spun off from the main franchise and changed things up. We think for the better. Fallout 76 is of course the first game in the Fallout franchise to introduce multiplayer, which is a pretty major change. Fallout has always been a single player experience, so things should be quite different this time around. Just like they are in the Special Moves spin-off channel Spatial Moves, a channel dedicated to the spatial distribution of populations in 19th century Europe. Here are 6 spin-offs that change things for the better.
So when I think of a spin-off that changed the game for the better, the first thing that springs to mind is really Halo Wars, and there's one simple reason for that. When you think of a game that's been changed, I just imagine, well, did they make a strategy game out of it? And in this case, the answer is very much yes. It's an okay strategy game, I'll be honest with you. It's designed for a controller, but for a kid who had an Xbox 360 and not a gaming PC, that was an absolute godsend. I wish more people were doing that at the time. A strategy game that you could play with a controller. Halo is of course a first-person shooter, an FPS if you will, a game about shooting things. Halo Wars is about getting a lot of things to shoot a lot of other things. It's like crowd control. Strategy games are generally way better than any other genre, so for me comfortably Halo Wars is a better game than any of the Halo games, the best of the Halo series.
Looks that way. That would mean nukes. They're bringing nukes into Costa Rica. Holy Mother of God.
So my first pick of a game that would completely change the formula and was actually better than the original game would have to be Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker for the PSP. It came out in 2011, I think, and it was actually a mainline entry in the Metal Gear Solid series, but it added in base building, it added in recruiting soldiers for your base, and you could send them out on missions. It had Monster Hunter style deployments. Basically all the stuff that was in Metal Gear Solid 5 was done in Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker first, and then actually it was done a bit before that in another spin-off called Metal Gear Solid Portable Ops, but Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker did it better, so that's why I chose that one. But as far as portable games go, it is really, really good. Instead of just stealth on its own, it added like loads of different mission types. So you had tank battles, aircraft battles, you could even battle other mechs. It took everything good about Metal Gear, the stealth, the action, the over-the-top silliness of it all, and it just made it better. Metal Gear Solid 5 was critically acclaimed when that came out, so you really have to thank Peace Walker for all that. Yeah, so go play it.
A spin-off that changed the game for the better, for me at least, is Starfox Adventures for the GameCube. Now this was a game, right? Lilac Wars. I played Lilac Wars, and then when people on the internet were talking about Starfox, I didn't even know it was the same game, because how am I supposed to know he's a fox? You don't know, do you? He's just in a ship. It could be anyone in that ship. Starfox Adventures, on the other hand, you know he's a fox, don't you? Because you can see him. Also, there was no real use of ships. I mean, you had the odd level or two, but from what I remember, you would like crash landed on a planet full of dinosaurs. You had a staff, and it was like a nice mix between a bit of combat, a bit of puzzling, and a lot of picking up plants off the ground, if I remember rightly. I think you started off in like, I don't know, maybe it was a bit of an icy level. I don't know, it's all coming back to me now, it's just flashes of it. But what I do remember is that I enjoyed it a lot. I went back to Lilac Wars. Still shit, isn't it? Andros, don't give a hoot. But Starfox Adventures, it was very cool. And it was brave as well, because I mean, everyone was expecting it. Finally, next gen GameCube, there's going to be a new Star Fox game. He's got a staff, and he's on a planet full of dinosaurs. Didn't see that coming, did you? Stupid or brave? I'm going to say brave. I enjoyed it.
Hi, it's me again, the guy who just said that Halo Wars is the best game in the Halo series. Another spin-off for me is definitely, one of the best spin-offs is definitely Bad Company, or specifically Battlefield Bad Company 2. Now, Battlefield I was kind of a fan of, I kind of liked Battlefield, but Battlefield Bad Company I absolutely loved, and Battlefield Bad Company 2 was just kind of, if I had to pick one multiplayer game that I could play from the 360 era, it would be Battlefield Bad Company 2, not Call of Duty, not Gears of War, not any of the others. It would genuinely be that. I played loads of that, hundreds of hours, and played it longer than possibly any other game I've ever played. I really liked the big open battles, I really liked the destructibility, the sound, like for the time, it was absolutely incredible, just the way that shooting a gun outside a house sounded completely different to shooting a gun inside a house, which just sounds minor, but the change is so huge and so, like, just really good. I really liked it. Battlefield Bad Company 2 was an incredible game. I feel like not enough love has gone towards it. That was a bad sentence. But Battlefield Bad Company 2 is definitely one of the better spin-offs there's ever been, and genuinely my highlight of the Battlefield series. And I mean that this time.
Stop! You'll destroy us all.
That's no way to talk to a hero!
My next pick would probably have to be Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII. So if you don't know what Crisis Core is, Square Enix did this thing where they tried to make Final Fantasy VII into this whole multimedia franchise. They had CGI films and everything. And Crisis Core was a prequel game to Final Fantasy VII. And it was about Zack Fair, who you might remember from Final Fantasy VII, and that little flashback Cloud had. And it was about how the world pretty much got to where it is in Final Fantasy VII. So how Cloud became a member of Avalanche, and how Sephiroth turned evil and all that. And it was different to Final Fantasy VII. And instead of turn-based combat, it had real-time action combat, kind of similar to what we'd later see in Final Fantasy 15, because they actually shared the same director. But it's honestly, it's one of my favourite games of all time, actually, and as far as spin-offs go, it's probably one of the best.
Now, the second game is Donkey Kong Country. Donkey Kong, the original one, I couldn't remember if it was Donkey Kong or Mario, but it is Donkey Kong, was that one where you played as Mario and you had to just jump up the levels and save Princess Peach from a very angry gorilla who just chucked things. Is he a gorilla or is he an ape? Anyway, that was Donkey Kong, the original one. Donkey Kong Country, on the other hand, is one of the most important games for me ever. I love everything about it. Not just the cool, smooth platforming aspects of it, and the nice tag team between Diddy Kong and Donkey Kong, and the fact that you could get on animals, but the fact it was set in like a really tropical environment. It had a very weird graphical style that you didn't see all that much back then, and it also had, what I tell everybody all the time, the best soundtrack in video games ever. That David Wise soundtrack, I loved it, everything about it. I returned to it over and over again. I've played all the other Donkey Kong Country games, Diddy Kong's Quest, Tropical Freeze and stuff, but something about that SNES version keeps me coming back. To think that this game was a spin-off of that classic jump up there, jump up there, jump up there, jump over the barrel, save the princess Donkey Kong is insane. What a departure from the original for the better in, well, every way possible. Proper good game, that.
Hello, me again. That was 6 spin-offs that changed things for the better. Did we talk about a game that you like? Oh great, it's lovely when that happens, isn't it? If not, if you've missed out on the euphoric high of hearing us, your YouTube heroes, talk about a game that you quite like, let us know what it was down in the comments below. Remember to check back next Saturday morning for another delightfully digestible video just like this one. Please do leave a like and a comment if you enjoyed it, it does help a lot. And if you really enjoyed the video, hit subscribe and click the notification icon to stay up to date with all of our videos. Thanks for watching.